was like everlasting pot of soup. So, and it was whatever she had, but somehow it always tasted the same. So it was, but that's the thing is I'm actually going to do an Instant Pot version and a stovetop version. And I'm using dried beans for one and canned for the other. And I also had extra cans just in case I forgot to soak it, right? I just started soaking a little while ago. So for my stovetop, you know what? It would work. It would just take a little longer.
Yeah,
so
I have a can, the softer one, so it's much better.
Exactly. So
I actually went back and dug out my shopping list and said, I swear it was canned. And I found that shopping list, and it's called documentary evidence.
There you go.
There.
Yep.
You know me and my details.
There you go. There you go. But
I had the same confusion, and what I did was I did pull out, so I started soaking like an hour ago, and I'm like, you know what, that we did have two different versions going. The soaking was probably for the Instant Pot, so I took out my cans of beans, but then I was like, I don't think I should waste the other beans. So right now my beans that I soaked are simmering, so maybe I'm thinking I can kind of save those. So if they get tender enough, they're going to go in the soup. Otherwise I have the cans for backup. So that's my plan.
You know, the thing is, so when I do the recipe, I try to think about being someone else doing it. And for me, it's like, I can't think beyond my it always works out. So there's a part of me that doesn't think through the recipe carefully because I know that I'll just figure it out. And so I try, but thankfully people like Denise read it carefully and then go, do we want to add something else? Because, I just don't have that mentality. You know, I'm just used to kind of, I'm going to make it, but if I don't have this, I'll try that. So, anyways, so.
That's a real plus in life, Dominique.
We wait a few minutes. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that's a real plus in life to be like that. I wish I could be like that instead of, I didn't get the right beans. It's much better for your blood pressure to be your way.
So should we get started?
I'm already started and have a question that's imperative right now. So when you say to add the rest of the ingredients, do you add the cilantro at that point? Because I see in the photo, it looks like that you've garnished with cilantro. Is it both?
You know, the recipe says add the rest of the ingredients. I'm going to hold out my cilantro till later.
Oh, all of it? Okay.
You know what? I chopped up my what do you call stalks or whatever, and I'm throwing that in now because then that'll get all ground up and be yummy.
Yep.
And I'm working with cilantro that froze because my fridge is on the fritz and it's too cold, but it looks green still, so I'm going to use it. So I might put it in earlier than I normally would have because it's frozen.
Yeah.
So I don't think it matters either way. Is anybody making it in the Instant Pot that's on, or are we all doing stovetop?
Stovetop.
Okay. Then I won't talk about, I'm going to be doing it in the Instant Pot too, but I won't talk about that since nobody else is using it. So get your olive oil in the pan, heating up. We're going to start sauteing our onions if you haven't already. Still chopping my onions because unlike Deb, who preps early and posts a beautiful picture, I'm going to be chopping while we're talking, which just is another lesson in life that we can do it lots of different ways and it'll still work out. So, yep, stove is on. I'm very excited because after almost 30 years, I'll be redoing my kitchen this year. So later this year, you'll get to see a new kitchen behind me. And it also goes to show you can cook anything. I'm cooking on an apartment-sized 24-inch stove from the 40s, and all of the soups come out great.
And I just want to be Dominique, so I am cooking on a teeny tiny apartment stove today too, and I hope my soup comes out as well as yours does, Dominique.
I'm sure it will.
Dominique, can I tell you one mistake I made when we redid our kitchen?
What?
I would not recommend a General Electric refrigerator.
Okay.
It's been a disappointment from the beginning. I don't know if anyone can argue against what I'm saying, but I really, if I had it to do over again, that's the one change I would make.
I'm getting a Bosch.
Oh, that's great. I have a Bosch. Yeah, I have a Bosch stove, a Bosch microwave, a Bosch.
I love my Bosch
Dishwasher.
dishwasher, which I already have, and I'm keeping that.
I am going to tag Bosch and GE, and hopefully Marge will get something free from GE, and Dominique, you'll get something free from Bosch.
No,
You're
I
live
love
on
my
Facebook.
Bosches. Everything else is a Bosch. I
Well,
love
then maybe
it.
you'll get some free Bosch stuff too, because you're live on Facebook.
Yes, maybe they'll replace my refrigerator, which is probably 6 or 7 years old, and I absolutely hate it.
Yeah, that's really frustrating. That's really frustrating. I ended up with the Bosch. It seemed like everybody was recommending it. Apparently Thermador owns Bosch. So you kind of get Thermador fridge, but at a Bosch price. And the temperature control is really good. And the fridge and the freezer each have their own something or other. So unlike most fridges like mine that's malfunctioning, which is also a GE, it's the freezer is freezing my, my fridge side. So
In fairness, the temperature controls are not a problem in my refrigerator. A lot of other things, but not the temperature
but not
controls.
that.
I opened the freezer about a month ago. I just pulled open the freezer drawer and the handle broke off. The handle broke off in my hand. I didn't know I was.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I'm starting to saute my onions, and I'll be putting in garlic. For people who've cooked with me before, I like using broth instead of water. If you're using water, I think it'll taste really good when we dump everything in. I prefer using some kind of broth, but just remember to adjust the salt down if you're using broth, unless it's unsalted, because otherwise it'll be too salty. I love using Better Than Bouillon. I just keep chicken, beef, vegetable in my fridge, and then I always have stocks that I need. And the other thing I love is pre-minced garlic, pre-minced ginger. I just started doing this like 3 years ago, and it has simplified my cooking life so much. And if I'm making a salad dressing, I'll chop up a few cloves of garlic, but to make stews and stuff, it's a real time saver for me. And I'm just using boneless, skinless chicken thighs. I use that for almost everything that I cook that involves chicken, soup, Thai food, any kind of stew. So that's what I'm using, but use whatever you like to cook with. It was funny. I think it was Denise who had another good recipe catch that for people making it in the Instant Pot, the tripled recipe won't fit. And I never think of that because I have two. So I can cook, as much as I want. And it just didn't even occur to me. So I appreciate all my proofreaders when I make a recipe. So I'm waiting for my onions to color a little bit before I put in the garlic because it browns so much more easily than the onions. And I'm going to keep chopping my poblanos. Oh, and my cauliflower I have not gotten out.
Dominique, are poblanos hot? They're like a little warm, right? But not hot.
Sorry, what?
Are poblanos hot?
No,
They're not hot at all, or they have like a little tiny bit of heat?
maybe a tiny bit.
Okay. I bought banana peppers last week thinking they were like mild banana peppers.
They're not.
Just the smell in the air, I was like, oh, wait a minute. I'm not going to put these in my salad.
Poblanos, if they have anything, it's a tiny bit.
Okay.
My Anaheims, which I'm using, are the same way.
I got you. Okay. Thank you.
So Alexa, when I was at the Giants, I had the same question as you had. And at the Giants in Potomac, there was a little sign that described them as on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the hottest. They were a 3.
Oh, good.
So I guess
Okay,
a bell pepper might be a 1 and. this is a-
Yeah,
Okay.
that seems about right. Habaneros are 10.
Yes.
Years ago when, you didn't used to be able to just get everything at Giant, and years ago, Mike and I were at the store and he liked hot food more than I did. And we decided to get habaneros. We were experimenting and we're in the car on the way home and I'm driving and he's like, he took a little tiny bit off the tip. And he goes, that's not very hot. And the tips are often not as hot as the rest of a pepper. So he took a big bite and we're still driving. He's like, oh my God, they're really, really hot. They're really hot. So, and then ghost peppers are even hotter. They look like habaneros, but they're white peppers. Have you ever tried those?
Are you crazy? I don't have a death wish. There's no way. I've seen ghost pepper potato chips. And I'm thinking,
Oh my God.
why would anyone do that? There's no way I can handle that.
I have people who like skydiving. It's like an extreme eating sport. I'm not into that. My sister-in-law and brother-in-law are. They once sent us like a pepper extract that came in it looked like a prescription bottle with a dropper with like skull and crossbones. And I'm like, why would I want that? Because by then you don't have any flavor. It just hurts.
Years ago, we used to play volleyball up at Gaithersburg High School. We're talking 40 years ago. There was a pizza place across the street that I think is gone. And after the games, we used to go and have pizza. And the group I went with would have pizza with jalapeno slices on it. And they get extra jalapenos on the side. And they were not happy until the tears were running down their faces.
Oh
and I'm
my
thinking,
God.
give me a cheese pizza with mushroom, please.
Exactly.
Some years ago, I was making dinner with friends from this wonderful cookbook called the Arabian Delights Cookbook. And there were these round, kind of cute, pretty, like orange and red peppers. And I guess I'd never cut with hot peppers before because I chopped them up with my bare, hands and my knife. Then I scooped them up and I put them in the pot and I was making something with shrimp. And then the palms of my hands just started to burn and burn. I was like, oh, I learned that lesson the hard way. So
Yes.
haven't done that since.
Dominique,
You only needed to be taught that once. Hi, Selma.
hi there. Can I see how your peppers are cut? Are they in small
Cut
pieces?
in
or-
chunks because just
Oh,
so
in
they
chunks.
can cook down. Because we're going to use the immersion blender later to make a rough soup.
Okay.
And
So
if
it
you
doesn't
don't have an
really
immersion
matter.
blender, it'll be a blender.
Yeah. Okay, doesn't matter then. I
Okay.
sliced them, so that's fine.
I am going to put in my garlic, and I really like garlic. So, I'm eyeballing it because I'm using the pre-cut. But I like to eyeball a little generously because garlic's good for you. It tastes good. But adjust it to your taste.
My broth is incredibly tasty.
Oh, good.
I can't decide if I want to add a little bit of garlic. I also use the pre-made garlic. But I'm thinking I may just throw in some garlic, granulated garlic,
Sure.
because it's already cooking. I'll do that.
Sounds delicious. kitchen is smelling good. My kids and I were having this discussion. What if you had to choose and you could only use onion or garlic going forward? And that was a horrible choice. I think we decided we'd do onions, but it was
I would
so
go garlic.
I know.
Garlic kind of leaves, I think it leaves a bigger flavor.
That's true.
I don't know. How about everybody else?
Something that had an onion base and it was so good, and we thought onions have like body and base and they can thicken a sauce. But it's those silly questions like when you're a kid and you say, would you rather die of heat or die of cold? Or if you could only eat one kind of cuisine for the rest of your life, what would it be? You know?
I have to abstain from this debate because my grandfather was in the onion business, okay? So I'm abstaining, none of that. But I think the hardest thing for me to live without, that's an interesting thing, might just be chocolate.
Yeah.
Plain chocolate, dark chocolate.
Okay, Marge. Beets,
Yeah.
beets or chocolate?
Beets are such-
Beets. That'll be an easy one.
I do try them all the time. You didn't know that? Oh, my husband likes them. So if he orders a salad with beets, I'll always try the beet. I feel this is something I should like.
You should. Good for you, Marge.
I
Did
think
that with sushi for years. Like, I think sushi is one of the most beautiful foods,
Mhm.
but I don't really like it. And I thought, well, maybe it's the wasabi. Let me try without the wasabi. Oh, let me taste the ones with it. And I'm like, I just don't like it. I like looking at it.
All right, well, let's go out to lunch because I like eating it. You can watch.
Okay.
I'll go. I love eating it.
And you know what, Marge is great on some sushi? A little
Wasabi?
lime juice and a jalapeno slice.
I think that would kill it. I think the
Oh,
wasabi has
no.
enough heat in it.
Oh, yeah, I don't put the wasabi soy on
okay.
the ones with the jalapeno and the lime. Oh,
Okay. That sounds delicious without the jalapeno. I'll go with wasabi. You know, it doesn't appear that Asians eat beets. There are no beets in Japanese food or Chinese food or Thai food, correct? Anyone seen beets there? I'm trying to remember.
No.
I was at the Asian market today. I don't remember if I've ever seen beets there. I'm going to look the next time. Yeah, they
Joyce, didn't you spend time in Asia or did I get you confused?
Lisa lived in Japan, but Lisa's not on. Oh, there she
Lisa's
is.
on. Lisa's on. Let's find out from Lisa.
She's ignoring it.
I know, but here she comes.
Sorry,
Beets in Japan.
am I muted? No.
No, you're fine.
Okay.
Do they eat beets in Japan? Is that a?
Back in 1982, when I lived there, I don't remember ever seeing a
Yeah.
beet. They ate lots of other root type vegetables,
Right.
but beets were not something organic to their foods.
Yeah. Have you ever had jackfruit? I was looking at it today in the grocery store, in the Chinese, Asian, whatever store that is, Great Wall. And then I went down to, and they're ginormous. For those of you who don't know what a jackfruit is, it's about this large. I can't even do it on my screen. It's huge. And they have little bumps. They're green, little bumps all over the outside. I have no idea what it looks like on the inside, but I happened to be in Trader Joe's after that, and there was a can of jackfruit. And I'm thinking, I have no idea what it is or how it, how it tastes. What
Marge, I've had it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and canned. It was used as a chicken substitute in a soup.
Oh,
So it's like chunks. Not
Trader
crumbles.
Trader Joe's has a frozen curried jackfruit. I don't remember if it's sort of South Asian or Southeast Asian curry. It's pretty good. It's kind of meaty. It's like
It is. That's what it's used a lot in
yeah.
vegetarian food.
Huh.
I am adding my spices in to fry them for a minute. The recipe didn't call for it, but I always try to fry them before I put in the liquid. Just it releases a little more flavor from the spice. It's not, if you already put in your liquid, don't sweat it.
On everyone's recommendation, I'm going to buy a can of jackfruit the next time I'm at Trader Joe's, just so I can see what it's really like.
I went to the Asian market with my aunt who's from Singapore, and because I always go and I get really overwhelmed and I don't know what anything is. And so that was really fun. And she said, lotus root's really good, and I'll send you some recipes. And I'd never eaten it before, and it was delicious. You slice it and it has little holes in it, you know, like, and then you like can fry it and stir fry it, and I loved it. I'm gonna make it again.
There was a very good Chinese restaurant when I once upon a time when I used to work, and the people I used to go with, two of them were from mainland China, and one of them was from Korea, and one of them was married to someone who was from Taiwan, and it was a very interesting group makeup wise. Oh, and one of the women was Indian, so we used to get a lot of vegetarian dishes, and we used to eat lotus root a lot. It is delicious. And it's not something that if I had gone to a Chinese restaurant that I would have ordered, but now that I've had it, it's an interesting taste. And you're right, it has those pretty little holes.
I know, isn't it cool? I am putting my chicken in to brown a little bit. Again, I think you can skip that. It just adds a little more flavor. And I did not cut it first. I always cook it first because I don't like handling raw meat. So I cook it, and then when we pull it out to puree, then I'm going to chop it or shred it.
I
don't
cooked
know
it
about that.
for anyone who was on the call last January, whatever it was, so over a year ago, when that guy I love, what's his name, Deb, that plays music?
Zishan B.
He did this garlicky chicken recipe where we cooked the chicken ahead of time and then shredded it. So I've already cooked my chicken separately rather than having to go fishing around, because
oh, nice.
I don't want to have to go fishing.
What else? My printer wasn't working, so I had to handwrite the recipe. So that on top of my handwriting, if I'm missing anything, alert me. If you all could only eat one cuisine for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Mediterranean.
Yep.
It's a catch-all. Clear.
That's a really good catch-all.
Yep.
That's my adult choice, but I gotta say there's something that's like kind of childlike in me that just is gonna say Italian. I love them both, but
That's Mediterranean.
Yeah,
That's Mediterranean. I would group that in.
oh, I don't know. I think of the Mediterranean as the stuff we eat now, you know, not like the physical location. That Italian food is like my default when I can't think and I'm always happy. So I don't know.
Yeah. There's part of me that would want Italian, but I know I would like kill myself. But Thai is my compromise. Very healthy, lots of vegetables, but like really exciting palate for me. So for me, it would be Thai.
I was born in Thailand and lived there for the first 4 years. And when we moved back to DC, there was only the Thai room on Connecticut Avenue, which is no longer there, I don't think. That was always our like celebratory cuisine for every celebration, milestone, graduation, etc. So Thai food is, like so my favorite, not that I want to eat it all the time, but so delicious and comfort and early childhood to me. So I'm with you, Dominique.
Much as I like Thai food, I love Thai food, but I don't eat peanuts. So there are a lot of things from the menu that just get thrown out. Yeah, I like the Italian, but I'm still voting for chocolate.
I won't argue with you.
I had a grandmother who lived to 96 years old who would have chocolate every day. It's like, and I always thought it was because she was an old lady, but in fact, when I was born, she was probably only maybe 50. She wasn't, she was 52 when I was born. So I thought this was because she was an old lady, because 52 was very old at one time in my life.
It is good for you. It has all kinds of antioxidants. She was onto something. So
yes, she was.
See, I got carried away with one of mine and I threw in stuff before I browned the chicken. So now I'm browning that chicken in a pan, which I'm then going to deglaze. Be forgiving.
So does anyone want to hear about my experimental soups this week?
Sure.
I made 2 soups. First of all, we made that minestrone about 3 weeks ago. This was the Harshalom group. And it came from a book called The New England Soup Factory Cookbook. So I put my name on the wait list and it arrived the other day. And I've made it up to page, I'm up to page 36. I think I already have 8 soups listed that I want to try. But in fairness, one of the soups is something called an artichoke bisque, which sounded fascinating. And it was very good, but I don't think it's the right kind of soup to make for donation purposes. It doesn't have, artichokes have, it turns out, virtually nothing in them. They're not high in fiber, they don't have protein, they don't have anything. They're very pretty, they have a great taste. But so I decided after making it that didn't work. But the other soup I made that we are going to make, or the name of it's a split pea soup with spinach and barley. And I thought that sounds nutritional. So I tried that yesterday and I took it over to a friend who's in hospice. And she called back today to say she approved of that. So she actually tried both of them, but she really liked it. So I think that's the Harshalom soup for next week, next Sunday, this Sunday, whatever. But yeah, it was a good one. And it went very well with the beer bread, which someone was talking about a month ago. That's another thing I had never made in my life. Beer bread is very nice because it doesn't have to rise because there's yeast in the beer that brings up. So yeah, it was really easy. So today when I was in Trader Joe's, I've now made beer bread 3 times to fiddle around with the recipe, but they had boxed beer bread. You could buy a box of beer bread. All you have to add is the beer.
Wow. What kind of beer?
I don't think it matters. No one in the house drinks beer. My husband will drink it in the summertime, 1 beer after he's run if it's very hot out. So I had to go buy beer, and it's like, what do you buy? I don't know.
Same way.
Yeah. So I bought a plain Sam Adams. I think next time I might try one of the wheat beers. I'm assuming that they also have yeast in them. I don't know. What do I know?
I would
I guess
think
I'll look-
like a dark beer could be good.
It might be. I mean, maybe I'll try a dark beer. Of course, then we're stuck with 5 other dark beers.
You could use it like I throw beer in when I make brisket.
That's another thing along with beets that I don't eat.
Oh,
In fairness, I'll eat. There's something about the way it's made, and it doesn't bother me when it's made into a corned beef. But there's
so you
something
don't
about
eat beets, you don't eat brisket. Are your family roots not
Oh, my mother makes that's
Poland,
one of the
Russia?
one of the few things my mother can cook is brisket. I don't like it, but it's one of the
Yeah.
few things that I grew up. I think maybe it was forced on me too much as a kid. And one of my grandmothers, the one from Moldova, she made beets. She always served beets, and that's the first time I tried them. Again, maybe if you try something as a child and you don't particularly like it.
Yeah, that could be.
Yeah.
I feel like it's in my blood.
I like beets, but my mother gave me chamomile tea every single time I was sick as a child and read me Peter Rabbit. And I love Peter Rabbit and Beatrix Potter, but I do not like chamomile tea at all.
Same thing. I think it might be.
They used to give us Jello when we were sick, so I
also
Jello.
I don't eat that.
True. Yeah.
Jello.
I like it like if I'm in the hospital after
Again-
surgery or something.
Yeah, well, I was in the hospital when I was 11. So again, going back to childhood, don't like Jello. Jello and mashed potatoes, which is the other thing they gave me when I was in the hospital, I also don't like. That's fascinating.
That one is bad. The other ones we
That
can
is-
put up with, but mashed potatoes?
I know my husband has a real problem. When we invite my friend Amy to dinner and she'll say, "Oh, what can I bring?" And she'll say, "Oh, never mind, I'll just bring mashed potatoes." So David is always happy when Amy comes to dinner.
I think we can probably add in everything else if you haven't already. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm adding in my other stuff as I get it cut, since I'm not prepared as usual. How are other people doing?
Just waiting.
Yeah, I've got everything in.
Great.
Marge, you mentioned artichoke soup. My 2 older kids and I, we went to California in May, and we went to Yosemite, and then we went to Monterey, and then we drove up. And my grandmother had lived outside of San Francisco, and her favorite restaurant was in this little teeny tiny town on the coast called Pescadero. And there's this restaurant there called Duarte's, and they're famous for their artichoke soup. And we had one of the best meals of my entire life
Oh
there,
my
including
God.
artichoke soup. And it was just delicious and totally not good for donating. Like
You're right.
expensive and hard to make and creamy, but it was very, very tasty.
Wow.
Yeah, this had light cream in it as well. I mean, it had 2 cups of light cream. There was a lot of, that was probably the healthiest thing in there was cream.
Can you share the recipe in the comments?
Oh,
Is it online?
I don't know. It's in the New England soup book. Someone had sent it to me. And in their version, you're supposed to make it with a roasted artichoke garnish, which of course I wouldn't do because there's no reason to. Let's see. It's pretty involved. I don't know. Let me see if I can find it online. And if I can, I'll come back to you with the recipe link.
And so I'm putting in more cauliflower because I have a head, and I'm like, well, I'm just gonna put in more cauliflower. So
Are you using the whole thing?
I'm going to. It doesn't call for it, but I'm going to just to use it up. I don't think it's gonna hurt. So
I did an uncharacteristic cheat. I
What?
bought a bag of Trader Joe's cauliflower, like
Chunk.
rice, frozen,
oh, good
and I just threw
idea.
that right in there.
Oh my God, that's so smart.
Dominique,
Uncharacteristically smart.
Dominique, somebody's asking. Sorry, Dominique, somebody's asking in the chat if they should cover the pot when we boil it. When we boil the
Speed it
soup.
up. I don't think it matters either way, but it'll speed it up for sure. Oops.
Dominique, is your chicken in the soup now?
It is.
So just let everything.
When I browned it, then I just added everything else. But if you like in the one that I had done properly, I just threw everything on top of the chicken. The other one I browned it in the pan and threw it in because I forgot.
Okay. So everything's just cooking now for 20 minutes. The cauliflower, the peppers, the chicken. Okay.
Whoever asked, I'm not sure who it was. I did add the artichoke soup. It's adopted from the New England Soup Factory cookbook, whatever. It's online under a Reddit thing. So I put a link in to the chat.
So does everybody know about Copy Me That?
What's that?
Copy Me That is an online thing. They used to have it on your phone, but it's not compatible with iPhone anymore. But on your computer, you set up an account, it's free, and then it puts a little icon up on your taskbar. And when you see a recipe online like this, you just click the icon and it saves the recipe for you. So
Dominique, I was just going to say the term "that changed my life" is really overused, but when you told me that changed my life. I love it.
I'm so glad. It changed my life for sure. So, and it'll tell you, like, if it's just a website, you just click the icon, it copies. This is Reddit or Facebook. Then you highlight an ingredient and then it knows where the recipe is and copies it. So it's great when I'm traveling. I always have my laptop. So I'm like, oh, I have these ingredients. What do I want to cook even at home? Like, gosh, I've got all this goat cheese, let's see what recipes I've saved with goat cheese. And then I can choose, and you can add your own recipes in there. So anyways, it's super, super helpful.
Oh dear, does anyone know what this is? This is a 20-year-old 3G phone. Nothing is being saved to this poor little phone. It's very sad. But I should ask you, does anyone have any experience with a phone, with a 5G phone or 4G phone actually, that has a keyboard like this? This is not a smooth keyboard. There's actually texture to it. Does anyone know anyone who has a phone that has texture? I have a problem with the tremor, and I really don't want a phone with a smooth face. And that's why I still have this old phone. Silence.
Sorry.
Yeah, I heard AT&T was dropping 3G this week. I think Verizon's a little bit farther out, but not much.
I'm sorry, I used to have a phone with a slide out keyboard, and then when I migrated over to Apple, I just got used to the smooth one.
I hear there's a phone called a Key 2, KEY2, but I also heard it's not particularly compatible with the Verizon network. So that's unfortunate. And I've still not seen one in person. At one point, we were going to order one just to have it so I could feel if I could use it. But
right.
There's also a device, I don't know what it's called, but it basically looks like a keyboard with a slot at the back. And it can support up to 3 devices, including a phone, so that you could once you put your phone in that slot, you can type like you're on a regular keyboard, which is fine if I happen to be sitting in my house, but a little bit awkward if I'm out.
Right.
So, we will see. It will have to be soon.
everybody doing on the recipe?
It's cooking away.
All right, let me make sure I put everything in. Chicken, cilantro, cumin. I haven't put the salt in. I'm going to be judicious with the salt because I used broth.
So Dominique, are you not gonna blend the cilantro in at the end? Are you just gonna add it, or use it as a garnish?
Mine is was frozen, so it doesn't have that fresh feel, even though it tastes fine. So I'm putting it in now, which I don't normally do.
Okay.
I think you could go either way. I think you could also do what Deb did, which is chop up the stems and put them in, and then save the leaves. I think the leaves look so pretty.
Yeah.
And they just add a nice element. So I would probably lean towards at least reserving leaves if it were me, and I haven't frozen my cilantro. That's what I would be doing. And I asked my kid to bring some home, so I will garnish it with some fresh later. It's taking a long time to come back up to the boil. I don't know why.
How many cups of broth or liquid did everyone put in?
I actually put in 12. But
I
because
think
it looked,
more than it called for,
Yeah.
actually.
I did 8 to see how it comes out, the consistency. You can always add in broth after you've pureed it.
Right.
once upon a time on one of these calls, someone said to us, before you put the broth in, nuke it, get it hot. Then it'll be faster when you bring your soup to a boil.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I did that. I put on water to boil when I started so I could add in my better than bouillon
Well, it's
and
nice
have that hot.
I
and
think
ready to go.
Denise's comment about an electric kettle, I treated myself to one. Don't know why I never did before, but it's like a miracle worker, and it cooks so quickly in the kettle.
That's awesome.
So remember, Marge, you had asked about the what you saw on our website, that we were making KindSoups with a group from Texas. So most of you were on the call when Marge had asked about that. And I would love to report back to you guys that they were like we were a year and 2 months ago. They had questions about why is it taking so long? And I had to tell them about the trick of using the boiling water or heating up your broth before you put it in, and all the chopping that they didn't do in advance because they didn't see to prep, and everything that we've learned and now take for granted, and our comfort with just relax and add what you have and don't stress what you don't have and taste it at the end. They were so nervous and they were wonderful, but it was really like just going back in time a year and a half. It was really fun.
Funny.
It was great. It really was fun. They did a good job, and there was just one person there just paying so much attention. And then she said at the end of the call, she hadn't cooked the soup. She just wanted to be a part of the call.
What kind of soup was it again?
It was
We
really
made the butternut squash soup, the Afghan one with the dad. I don't know if you were on, Lynn, during the fall when we did our Afghan editions. We had a dad from Afghanistan and his daughter, who's a local pediatrician. Yeah, they joined us and led that same soup. It was delicious.
I think it was better the second time, and I don't know if the recipe was slightly different.
It
or
was
I just
not. You did a better job because you put a little bit of beets in there. It was the color.
It was the chocolate sauce on top. That must be it.
That was it. Yeah.
Anything is improved with chocolate.
Yes.
Hey, does anybody have an instant hot in their kitchen? Instant hot water.
I had one years ago, and my experience is that they break a
Um,
lot.
I have Instant Hot, and it's the best thing I did when my kitchen remodel was Instant Hot. I've had
Really?
it, been working for 11 years, and that's how I make my broth is with Instant Hot.
Nice.
Yeah,
Do you know what brand or whatever? I don't know anything about it.
you know, I'll see if I can see underneath what it says. No, I don't see a brand.
Okay.
But
I have one at home, Dominique. I'll let you know what I have.
yeah,
We've had ours for a long time. So.
I'm a tea drinker, and it's wonderful for tea.
It was funny. I was in Ireland in December and my cousin redid her kitchen and she said, I love my Instant Hot. But it's strange because you can't put the kettle on for tea anymore.
Well, you still can.
We have one too. It's quick something. I don't know. It's hard to see what the name of it is.
And you like it.
Well, I don't like it as much as my husband.
Okay.
He likes it a lot because I actually still like to boil water for tea.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, it's good for
What?
cleanup too. If you have things that cake
Yeah.
onto your dish, whatever,
Oh,
you
yeah.
put Instant Hot, softens right up.
He thinks that it gets hot enough for tea, but I don't actually think it gets hot enough for tea.
Okay.
You know, you can adjust it under your sink, Julia.
Yeah, the problem is if you adjust it, then we have a hot and cold, and then the cold is not cold enough.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's what I don't like about it. So I don't know, you probably should go to like, one of those Plumbing Parts Plus or one of those places
Right.
and really talk to them about it and the pros and cons of it. But we do have it and we've had it for 5 years when we redid our kitchen. So, but he's a fan and we still have a kettle on our stove too.
Yeah. I have an electric kettle, which I absolutely love, but I'm thinking like, would it be nice not to have another thing on the counter? So.
Yeah, I mean, we have a really pretty kettle that we leave on top of the stove that my mother-in-law gave me, and I think it's very decorative, and I use it and he doesn't. But
Can I see your kettle?
Yeah.
See, this is what I love about this. It's like we're friends cooking together. We get to look at each other's kitchens. We get to chit chat. I love cooking. Oh, it's so cool.
Yeah, my mother-in-law got it for us and I really like it, so I wanted to keep it anyway.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So the thing that I got that I am very happy with when we remodeled our kitchen is you can see I have a pot filler, Dominique. And
Yes.
that's a good thing to, rather than having to lug like a bunch of stuff over.
Yeah,
Okay.
we didn't get one of those. But our stove is right here
Mhm.
and our sink is right there.
Yeah, mine's like just a couple of feet away. I thought about it because I know people really love them, but we sometimes use our filtered water for cooking too. So I was like, that's good for pasta, but it's not good for everything. Like I when I make the broth, I use filtered water. So I thought, it's probably not the best fit for us, but it's such a good idea.
The one thing that we got that I really do like, instead of a second oven, we don't have two ovens.
Yeah.
And we got a combi. It's like a combination.
I'm getting that. Just don't tell me.
I love it. It's a microwave, but it's also can turn into an oven, a second oven.
Oh,
And
nice.
our brand is Mila.
Okay.
And I really like it because the only time we really use a second oven is on the holidays.
Right.
But otherwise it's our microwave. And then on the holidays, then we turn it into our second oven.
It's funny because I have the Mila combi steam oven, but I needed a big second oven for the holidays, and the one that was the microwave wasn't big enough for me. So I got the one that's just a combi steam oven.
Right.
And it doesn't do microwave.
Yeah, we actually have both. We have the steam.
Oh, nice.
They're side by side in our new kitchen.
Nice.
So we have the steam and the other one, and then we have just one big stove oven thing.
Nice.
So
Oh yeah, I feel good because it was really expensive, and I make bread, and that steam is good for bread. And
And I
I'm excited to know you have it. Where do you
just-
get the recipes?
And my instant hot water brand is Incinerator.
Incinerator. Oh, that's like the.
And it has lasted 11 years. It's still going strong, so.
Okay, I'm gonna make a note. Thank you.
Well,
And yeah,
Dominique,
yeah.
sorry, Dominique, I was gonna say I saw an ad on Facebook for something that it's hot water, cold water, and sparkling water.
Oh my god.
But it's like $5,000, so maybe not.
Okay, so maybe not.
I can buy in 79, cents thing of seltzer, or people use Soda Stream or whatever.
Right.
But it was pretty funny. I was like, oh, that'd be so interesting to just have, instant soda water. But
Yeah,
We are turning into the Jetsons.
I know, right?
What do you have for a pantry? Do you have a space for it? Because we have a pull-out pantry that's very interesting. It just
Yes.
fits right in the cabinet. We pull it out and it's a series of shelves.
I'm kind of doing something like that. I'm going to have 2 pantries on either side of my kitchen table that the door will open, and then it'll have pull-out shelves.
Okay. Yeah, because mine isn't very deep. I would guess it's about 8 inches deep at most.
Okay, mine's 18, but that's why I have the drawers coming out
Yeah.
so that I can see. So thank you. I'm very excited.
it's one of the best things you can do, like redoing our kitchen before was so tiny, and then we bumped it out because we have a 1941 house, and the kitchen was tiny, and we bumped it out a little bit, and it made all the difference in the world.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's my first and last kitchen remodel, so I'm not going crazy. I was going to get a Miele gas range, but then they switched over to a new model, and they couldn't tell me when they were going to get it, and they didn't have the old ones, so I'm getting a KitchenAid.
When is this project beginning?
June.
Okay.
I mean, well, no, it'll begin in May, but cabinets will arrive in June. I'm hoping to be done by July.
Fingers
It's really
Sorry.
really a pity. I could have saved my old Carterock Formica cabinets for you. Had I only known.
So mine is really getting there. I used canned beans on this one. I'm just checking my chicken to see if it's ready to pull out, but most people are probably ready to puree. Has anybody gotten there? And you know what I just started using like 3 years ago? Tongs. Like I never used tongs, and they're really useful. Now, I actually think this soup for people who are vegan or whatever would be very good without the cream cheese. I'm putting in the cream cheese, but I encourage people to taste it without and see. I might use one of these with and one of these without, I'm not sure.
Dominique, no worries with the cream cheese freezing and getting reheated, or should we?
I think so.
Okay.
I think people will see that it's a dairy thing and reheat it gently.
Okay.
And I think cream cheese is a little less apt to break, maybe I'm wrong.
So for people who are putting the cream cheese in, just remember, mark your soups contains dairy. And of course contains chicken, but you've got that in the name. So just contains dairy as your other warning.
So does everybody have an immersion blender? I love this because I can puree right in the pot. You're not trying to go smooth. If not, just put it in a blender, but only fill it about a third of the way or half, and make sure there's a little, if you have one of those little tiny openings at the top, have it ajar so that the heat can escape, because I have splashed it all over my kitchen when it's hot like this. I think the cauliflower in this is nice because it thickens it.
Dominique, it's delicious. I just tried mine.
Oh, good.
So good.
Have you already put the cream cheese in?
Yes, yes. I don't know. Everything cooked a little quicker today. So I'm all set. I'm making it for my nephew, who I just found out has COVID and is home from college. So we'll bring it over to him.
That's so nice. Well, it seems like more and more people are getting COVID, but it's pretty mild with the vaccines and Omicron, thank God. At least the people I know, for the most part, have not been very ill. I just tasted the pureed broth. It's very tasty, but I haven't put in my stuff yet. So a few people I know saw this movie this week called Breaking Bread. And so when it comes to Netflix or whatever, highly recommend it. It's a great cooking show. It follows a Palestinian chef who was the first Palestinian to win the Israeli Master Chef. And she used, I guess, the, fame that she got to start a festival in Haifa where she paired Jewish chefs and other Palestinian or Arab chefs together, and they cooked together for this festival. And it was beautiful food and interesting stories. So keep an eye out for that when it comes to Netflix or whatever.
And we just have 1 minute left. If anybody's got any questions to take the answers with you as you finish up your soups. Everybody doing okay? Anybody have anything for Dominique?
Just thank you, Dominique. This was super fun. I will admit I did not actually have any of the ingredients for the soup, and I just made myself a big pot of vegetable soup because I just wanted to be on Zoom with all of you. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
We're glad
I can't
you
come
did.
every Sunday, every Monday, but I decided to hop on and cook with
I'm
you all.
so glad. It was
something
great
different,
to see your face.
Mhm.
And it's so nice to be together. I've been in pottery class, so I'm glad to be back. And thank you for joining. And I hope you enjoy this.
Excellent. Thank you.
That's great.
Take care, everybody.
And
Bye-bye.
next week,
Thanks,
Denise is
Dominique.
going to be leading us in a Greek lemony rice soup, which I think sounds Greek,
Ooh.
right, Denise? Or lemon rice?
Lemon rice, yeah, it might be
Yeah.
Greek. I don't know. Now I'll have to check.
Yeah,
Take care,
it sounded
everybody.
that way to me, but I'm looking forward to it. Everybody have a great week.
Thank you,
And thank you
everybody.
for cooking together.
Thanks for the kitchen advice.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Bon appetit.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.